All right, so today we're going to go through how to mark books lost and create some obligations in student accounts using My Payments Plus. So there's several different scenarios that could play out for our lost books. It could be that when you come across a student and they happen to have a book that is overdue when you are doing a checkout, that you inform them and have that conversation. And the student might tell you at that point that their book is lost and they don't know where it's at. So at that point, you might go ahead and mark the book lost. If the student says they have no idea where it's at, go ahead and mark it lost. Once you mark the book lost, it will go in to the student's account as a lost book, so it will not be appearing anymore and the item's out. It will not count against them as their items out because we already know it's lost at that point. So you'll mark it lost. You will also want to go ahead, if the book is not already $10, you could go ahead and go into the copy at that point and edit copy and mark it $10. So that's one way that we're going to be marking books lost. Another way is just as we go. Right now we have about 222 overdue materials. A lot of those are teacher materials, so that's fine. But we really want to keep that number down. It should be significantly lower than that. So periodically we'll be going through our list. I got to this list by going into my dashboard, and I have my dashboard set up to where my overdues automatically appear here for me. So I just go ahead and click on the magnifying glass and then it blows it up for me. So here I will go through and make sure all books are $10 or lower. The ones that are not, like this book right here, is $27.61. I like to go ahead and change the price to $10, although it's not 100% necessary step, but it makes things a lot easier when Destiny is reflecting what we are going to charge in My Payments Plus. It just helps avoid a lot of confusion down the road. Not 100% necessary, but just something that I think checks and balances, just good practice. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste the barcode of that book. I'm going to go ahead and change that book to $10. Okay, so I'm just going to edit that copy, change it to $10. This is something that we can do just periodically as we go. Okay, and then save copy. In order for it to update on here, you would have to just refresh the dashboard. So I'm going to go into my dashboard. I'm going to have to hit the refresh button, and then it'll change that price. Okay, so once we have all of our books set to $10 or lower, or at least for the students that you're ready to go ahead and mark it lost and charge an obligation. So for this student right here, this first student, let's say that I want to go ahead and charge her the obligation. So this means that I have either already had a conversation with her in person that she's got a lost book and it's going to be $10, or if you want to follow up with her, maybe you've already had the conversation but she still isn't getting it returned, or maybe it's been out for several months. At that point, we can just go ahead and inbox the student, select course. We're going to do Eastgate. You're going to go ahead and type in the student's name. And then I just title it library books, or library book in this case. And then I just let them know that they have a book out and it's lost, and we're going to go ahead and charge an obligation. And go ahead and put in the title, whatever the book title was of that book. And then I would say, we'll be charging $10 for that book, and it will show up in My Payments Plus. Okay, and then we'll just put both of our names. Okay, and then you would send. I'm not going to send this right this second. All right, so that is how you take care of trying to get the books in. We're going to do everything we can in our power to try to get these books returned. If we absolutely are not getting the books back, that's when we're going to go ahead and go into My Payments Plus, and now we're going to assess an obligation. So I have some instructions that I will be sending out to you to follow. This is from the most recent training. So it says to go ahead and create fee on the dashboard. We're going to put this in as the barcode of the book in the fiscal school year. So for that book, our barcode is right here. This is to protect student privacy. So we have some guidelines that help protect for student privacy. They're protected under FERPA. So we don't really want to put in the title of the book if we can avoid that. Okay, so barcode and then fiscal year. And then you're just going to keep following these instructions. Transaction, we're going to put in EGMS, library obligation, and then the barcode again. Okay, oh, we already did that. Okay, fee splits. Okay, it's just $10 across the board. Whatever the cost, if it's less than $10, that's fine. But otherwise, we're going to just be putting in $10 for everything. That's where it doesn't really totally matter if you change the price of the book. I just think it's a little nicer if I have phone calls that I'm fielding, things like that. It's just nicer for everything to be the same price across the board. Okay, fee splits. EGMS, library obligation, and barcode. Okay, barcode of the book, $10, $10, $10. Our library account, you're going to have to know this one, but it's in here, it looks like anyways, from the drop-down menu. So we're doing our activity account fund and EGMS library. So I'm going to go ahead and select that. We don't typically allow for partial payment, so I believe we just kind of leave all of that blank. Okay, description, either it's always going to be either lost or damaged. So lost the library book. Okay. Yep. So parents are going to be paying for this. So just leave it parent pay. Down here, we're going to select we should have an account in here, so I'm going to have to check on that. Oh, form, no, we don't need that. Attach accounts. Put in the student ID number. Okay, so this student ID number can be found in Destiny. So here's her student ID. Okay. Search, available, and we're going to select her. And then you're going to click on save. Again, I'm not actually going to do this right this second, but just following all those instructions, those are all it's pretty straightforward. Funding account, I left that North Kansas City. Parent pay, student ID, search the kid, put them over in our selected, and then you're going to go ahead and save. And then that will, if the parent has an email associated with the student account in PowerSchool, it's going to automatically email the parents that they have a pending charge to pay. So that's what's going to display for these parents is that lost library book, information so they know what they're paying for. Okay, so that's kind of the gist of My Payments Plus and Destiny. Again, there's several different scenarios of where you would mark books lost and then put them in My Payments Plus. Sometimes we'll have lost books, but they're not in My Payments Plus yet. Basically, we're just going to be charging these fines kind of at our discretion as they come up and as they happen throughout the year. Once a book has been lost for quite a while, like at least a couple months or longer, that's when I'm going to go ahead and start talking to the student about you're going to either need to find the book or pay $10. And then from there, I'll kind of gauge it. If it's a hardship case or if we think it's a hardship case, we have permission to ignore those and not place those fines. So this will just kind of be a case by case basis as we go. Let me know if you have questions.